A fresh wave of fear is spreading across South Africa, and this time, many foreigners are asking the same question. Are immigrants about to be forced out of the country? Over the past few weeks, social media has been flooded with videos, voice notes, posters, and threats linked to the so-called June 30th ultimatum, demanding that foreigners leave South Africa. Some people are panicking, some are packing their bags, others are wondering whether this is another temporary online trend or the beginning of something bigger. For Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Congolese, Ethiopians, Pakistanis, Somalis, and many other migrant communities living in South Africa, this situation feels deeply personal because this is not the first time xenophobic tensions have exploded in the country. But before fear takes over, we need to separate facts from social media exaggeration. So in today's video, we'll break down what the June 30th ultimatum actually is, whether the South African government officially supports it, why xenophobia keeps happening in South Africa, how this affects immigration and visa policies, what foreigners living there should realistically expect, and why this issue is becoming a major African conversation again. Because right now, emotions are high, misinformation is spreading fast, and many people outside South Africa do not fully understand what is truly happening. Let us start with the biggest clarification. As of now, there is no official South African government announcement ordering all foreigners to leave by June 30th. That is extremely important. The June 30th message circulating online appears to be linked mainly to anti-immigrant activists, protest groups, and individuals promoting anti-foreigner campaigns. Some posters and viral graphics claiming to come from government departments were reportedly fake or unofficial. However, even though it is not an official deportation order, many foreigners are still worried because xenophobic violence in South Africa has happened before, and history makes people nervous. South Africa has one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. Youth unemployment is especially severe. Millions of South Africans are struggling with rising food prices, expensive housing, crime, poor electricity supply, weak economic growth, job shortages. Because of this frustration, some citizens blame foreigners for the country's problems. Certain anti-immigration groups argue that immigrants take jobs from locals, overcrowd hospitals and schools, increase crime, operate businesses unfairly, put pressure on public resources. Now, whether those claims are fully true or not is another debate entirely. But politically and emotionally, these arguments are gaining traction among some frustrated citizens. That is why movements like Operation Dudula became popular in some areas. Their campaigns focused heavily on removing undocumented migrants and pressuring businesses to hire more South Africans. This is where the conversation becomes complicated. Every country has the right to control its borders and immigration system. Even many Africans, agree that undocumented migration should be managed properly. But xenophobia goes beyond immigration enforcement. Xenophobia happens when foreigners are attacked, threatened, harassed, or blamed simply because they are foreigners. And sadly, during periods of tension, mobs usually do not stop to check who has legal documents and who does not. That means legal immigrants, skilled workers, international students, refugees, business owners, permanent residents can all become targets. That is one reason many African governments become concerned whenever xenophobic tensions rise in South Africa. One thing many people forget is that South Africa has long been one of Africa's biggest economic destinations. Compared to many African countries, South Africa historically offered better infrastructure, more business opportunities, larger industries, stronger currency, bigger cities, more employment opportunities. For decades, migrants from across Africa moved there hoping for better lives. Nigerians opened businesses. Zimbabweans, work in construction and hospitality. Somalis built shop networks. Congolese entered transport and retail sectors. Many skilled Africans worked in healthcare, engineering, IT, and education. So migration into South Africa did not happen overnight. It has been building for years. Now let's talk about the immigration impact significantly. Even though the government officially condemns xenophobic violence, political pressure is growing for stricter immigration controls. This could affect immigrants in several ways. The first one is more documents check. Foreign nationals may face increased police stop and immigration verification exercise. Authorities may conduct, workplace inspections, business permit checks, and resident verification, visa status reviews. Undocumented migrants are likely to face the greatest pressure. The second thing is other visa policies. South Africa has already been discussing, tighter immigration rules before this latest controversy. Now, public pressure could push the government towards tougher visa approvals, stricter asylum process, faster deportations, more border enforcement, greater employer compliance checks. Governments often react strongly when immigration becomes politically sensitive. Number 3 is fear among legal immigrants. This is one of the biggest problems. Even immigrants with valid permits may feel unsafe during periods of anti-foreigner tension. Some foreigners now avoid traveling late, speaking their native languages loudly in public, opening shops early, entering tense neighborhoods. Fear itself changes how people live. The fourth thing is business impact. Historically, xenophobic violence in South Africa has often targeted small businesses owned by foreigners. Shops are especially vulnerable because they are visible and easy to attack. During previous outbreaks, stores were looted, businesses were burned, workers fled, communities became divided. That is why many immigrant-owned businesses become extremely cautious whenever tension rises. Now let's look at the social media problem. Social media is also making the situation more dangerous. False information spread quickly. One fake poster can, cause panic across multiple countries within hours. Videos from old attacks sometimes get reposted as if they are, happening today. Some influencers exaggerate stories for clicks and engagement. Others spread fear without, verification. This creates confusion because people do not know what is real anymore. That is why it is important to rely on verified reports and official government statements rather than random WhatsApp broadcasts. President Cyril Ramaphosa and government officials have repeatedly stated that xenophobia and violence are unacceptable. The government officially says foreigners should not be attacked, violence will not be tolerated, immigration issues must follow legal processes. At the same time, officials also acknowledge public frustration around legal immigration and border management. So the government is trying to balance two difficult realities: preventing xenophobic violence, responding to citizens demanding stronger immigration control. That balance is politically sensitive. Across Africa, many people are upset by the situation. This is because South Africa once received major support from other African countries during the apartheid era. Countries like Nigeria supported anti-apartheid struggles financially and politically. So whenever xenophobic violence occurs, many Africans feel betrayed emotionally. Some people ask, how can Africans attack fellow Africans? The emotional reaction is why tensions quickly become continental discussions online. Governments including Nigeria and others have previously warned citizens living in South Africa to remain cautious during outbreak of violence. One uncomfortable truth is that xenophobia often grows during economic hardship. When people cannot find jobs, affordable food, or trust their political leader, frustration looks for targets. Foreigners sometimes become convenient scapegoats, but many economists argue that immigration is not the root cause of South Africa's deeper economic challenges. Issues like corruption, poor governance, energy crisis, slow growth, education gap, crime, weak infrastructure management also play major roles. Blaming foreigners may simplify a much bigger problem. So should foreigners leave South Africa? This is the question many people are asking online. The answer depends on individual circumstances. There is currently no official nationwide order forcing foreigners to leave South Africa by June 30, but people should still stay alert and prioritize safety. Foreigners living in South Africa should keep documents updated, avoid spreading unverified information, stay informed through official sources, avoid areas experiencing unrest, maintain emergency contacts, follow local safety guidance. Panic helps nobody, but ignoring risk completely is also unwise. So what next? The next few months will be important. There are several possible outcomes. The first possibility is that the tensions calm down, protests fade, and life gradually returns to normal. The second possibility is that immigration policies become stricter legally but without major violence. Then the third possibility is that more protests occur and tension escalates in certain areas. Nobody knows for certain yet, but one thing is clear: immigration has become one of the biggest political topics in South Africa today, and the debate is not ending anytime soon. So in conclusion, the June 30 ultimatum may not be an official government deportation order, but the fears surrounding it are very real. For many immigrants in South Africa, this situation is about more than politics. It's about safety, it's about survival, it is about uncertainty, it is about whether Africa can truly embrace African unity during difficult economic times. At the same time, many South Africans also feel frustrated by unemployment, poverty, and weak systems. So this issue cannot be reduced to simple good versus bad narratives. It is a complicated mix of economics, politics, migration, fear, and public frustration. But one thing Africa must avoid is allowing hardship to turn Africans against one another, because when violence begins, everybody loses. And unfortunately, ordinary people usually suffer the most. If you find this information helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.